Somewhere in the world today, someone woke up, looked out at the sun and said, "Wow, what a beautiful day." Somewhere else in the world today, someone woke up and said, "Oh man, the sun is out. Crap, it's going to be a scorcher." Somewhere else in the world today, someone didn't wake up. The real tragedy in life is not death. It's what we let die inside of us while we still live. Everyone has asked me, "Why did you write this book?" I didn't want this book to die inside of me. So I had things I wanted to share with the world, and I thought it was high time I got them out. All of you are here with your different goals, your different aspirations. And I encourage you as I speak to think about what your goals are and go after them. Not later, but today. Every goal that you have, each of you could start some little piece of it, even today, and then tomorrow. So I want to encourage you to do that. I'm going to be sharing 5 key points with you that deal with happiness. Happiness is feeling fulfilled and satisfied with your life. If you are feeling unhappy, it's probably because there's a gap between where you are and where you need to be. The gift you should be giving to the world. If you're not giving your gift, I assure you, you feel some kind of emptiness. And I want to encourage you to find out what that gift is, that purpose, and give it to the world. 5 things that I'm going to cover, and I want you to help me with this because I love participation. First one is go within and you'll never go without. Repeat that.
Go within and you'll never go without.
And I'm going to explain what each one means, so don't worry. Second one, say yes to yourself and no to other people. That's right. The third one, think about what you want to bring about.
Think about what you want to bring about.
That's right. The next one is put the big rocks in first. Now, I know you don't know what that means, but say it anyway. Put the big rocks in first. And the last one is take what you want to the potluck.
Take what you want to the potluck.
Okay, here we go. First one, go within and you'll never go without. They're doing a lot of research on happiness these days. It just so happened that this was taking place when I was writing my book. And one of the things that people who are happy report is a connection with their higher power and the importance of meditation, prayer, whatever you might want to call it. One of my favorite gadgets is the GPS. How many of you own a GPS? In your car, on your phone. Okay, I love that gadget. What is the first thing that you need to do if you want to use the GPS? First step. Do what? Read the manual. Nobody reads the manual. Turn it on. But when you get ready to use it, what do you have to do? Enter your destination. The GPS is a powerful thing. Do you realize there's a satellite going around the earth that sends signals to the ground to control centers, and then those go to your cell phone or your car GPS. And it can tell where you are within inches. Now, you set the destination, and then what? What does the GPS do? It says calculating route, right? Okay. You start driving and following the instructions. I love it when I pass up my stop. What does the GPS say when you pass your stop? Recalculating route. Now, if you keep doing that 2 or 3 times, anybody have that experience? What does it do? I do it on purpose because I want to find out what happens. Marilyn, what happens? Oh, no. And he had the GPS. You don't like that little voice? I love it. Because after about 2 or 3 times of not taking her instructions, she will ask you, or he, you can change the voice to a guy. She will ask you, do you still want to continue this trip? Because it's tired of telling you, where to go and you're not taking the advice. So many times I turn it on going to someplace I already know how to get to, just to check how it works. Now we all know that because the GPS is man-made, that it's not perfect, and that there are times when it tells you to turn right when you really need to turn left. So you do have to still use your brain when you use the GPS. But a number of you didn't raise your hands when I asked if you had one. But we all have a GPS inside of us. It's our God positioning system. Within us, there's God giving us directions. Now, the difference in God and the man-made GPS is that when we put in our destination with God and he starts guiding us, you've all felt it, whether you believe in God or not, he believes in you. So when you put in your instructions, God will start leading you. We call it intuition. We call it hunches. We call it all kinds of things. It doesn't matter what you call it. The difference in God's positioning system is sometimes he takes you on routes that are little seem out of the way, whereas the GPS attempts to take you directly to your destination. Now, to help keep your mind focused on this GPS we all have, I like to use a mantra or an affirmation. And I'll share with you the one that I use. This comes from Napoleon Hill. I believe that I'm always divinely guided. I say these 3 things almost every day. I believe that I'm always divinely guided. Isabella knows this one. I believe I always take the right turn of the road. I believe that God will make a way where there is no way. Now, Isabella likes to take off the is no way out of it. It doesn't matter. But it's a wonderful affirmation to keep your mind focused on the inner that you are being guided by. Now, the difference with God's system, he isn't going to tell you recalculating route or whatever. He's going to allow you a lot of freedom to make the choices, but he's still nudging you. So if you feel some kind of emptiness, something missing, you probably aren't sharing this gift that God has given you. And until you do, you're going to feel some kind of disconnect, some kind of discontent. So I'm just warning you if you've been feeling that way. Okay, what was the second point we were going to cover? Say yes to yourself and no to other people. Now, some of you think that sounds pretty mean, don't you? Children have no trouble with this. How many of you have ever flown on an airplane? What is the first thing the airline attendant tells you before they take off when there's safety instructions? Fasten your seatbelts. Oh, wait, let's back up. Before they say put it on, they say, in the unlikely event of a loss of cabin pressure, a mask will drop down. Put on your mask first before you assist a child or someone acting like a child that's sitting by you. Why did they tell you to put your mask on first? You cannot help someone if you don't have what it is you're trying to give. Say yes to yourself means keeping your goal, your dream, your gift uppermost, and saying yes to those things that help you get there. Now, we all know people that will derail you from your mission. Is that correct? Have you ever agreed to do something and seconds after you did it, you realized you'd made a big mistake? Like the time you let your cousin sleep on your couch because they just needed a place to stay for about a week until they got a job or got situated. Whoops, and what happened? They're there a month later. Now, that's somebody you should have said no to in the first place. You would be so much happier if you had said no. You would feel good about yourself. then here you've said yes, and you got to figure out how to get this trifling bum out of your house. And you're going to feel bad, but why should you? What about this? There's a song by the Eurythmics. I don't know if, that went back a ways, called Sweet Dreams. And in this song, they talk about some people want to use you. Some people want to be used by you. Some people want to abuse you. Some people want to be abused by you. It says everybody's looking for something. Your job is to keep your goals uppermost, because if you don't watch out, other people will derail you from your goals. Maybe not on purpose all the time, but that doesn't matter. Over on page 110 in my book, this sounds like school or Bible class. On page 110, I tell a story that illustrates how sometimes other people's idea of how we need to get to our goals are really a detriment, and we have to keep our eyes focused on our own path. Because after all, we have our GPS, our God positioning system to guide us. So you have to be careful of other people who have these ideas. And over here I tell this story about an American tourist. He was on the pier in a small fishing village, and he saw this Mexican fisherman with a catch of fish. And he stopped to admire this yellow-tailed tuna and said, "Wow, what a beautiful catch. How long did it take you to catch those fish?" And the fisherman said, "Oh, not very long, just a short while." The American tourist said, "Well, why didn't you stay out longer and catch more fish?" And the fisherman said, "Well, this is enough to take care of my family's needs, so that's all I caught." The tourist said, "Well, what are you going to do with the rest of your day?" And the guy said, "Well, what I do with my day is I sleep late, I go do a little fishing, I play with my children, I take a siesta with my wife, Maria, then I stroll down to the village and sip a little wine and play guitar with my amigos." The American tourist says, "I can help you." He says, "What you should do is stay out longer and fish more, get more fish. Eventually, you'd be able to buy another boat. And then with that boat, you can sell even more fish, and eventually you'll own a whole fleet of boats. And before you know it, you'll have enough money to take over the distribution and the processing of your fish." And the fisherman is listening to him and said, "Okay." He said, "And eventually, you could move to Los Angeles and eventually New York." And the fisherman said, "Well, how long will that take?" The tourist said, 10, 15 years. And the fisherman said, "And then what?" He said, "Oh, this is the best part. You can sell your company and retire. You could retire to a Mexican fishing village where you could sleep late, do a little fishing, play with your children, take a siesta with your wife, and then stroll on down to the village and sip a little wine and play guitar with your amigos." Duh? He already had all that. So you have to be careful when people want to give you advice. And I'm sure this tourist probably thought that was a good idea. But be careful for what you want. It may be nearer than you think. All right, what was the third thing we were going to cover? Something about rocks, but that's next. This is think about what you want to bring about. Think about what you want to bring about. So many times we think about what we don't want instead of what we do want. Isn't that kind of scary? We think about scarcity and how little we have instead of thinking about how much we have. Now, there have been a lot of quotes written about thinking. Robert Allen said, "You are today where your thoughts have brought you, and you will be tomorrow where your thoughts take you." The power of thought is the most control. You have the most control over your power of thought than you do over anything else in the world. okay? Voltaire said that no problem can withstand the assault of a sustained thought. Proverbs 23:7 said, "For as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." Winnie the Pooh said, "People who don't think must not have brains, but instead some gray fluff that flew in there by mistake." All of these are various important points about thinking. I want you to think now about what it is you want to achieve. And one of the things that's going to pop up in your mind is going to be the obstacles. You're going to think about, how will I pay for it? How will I get there? How will I take time off? And all these worries. Suppose you were taken from your family, placed into concentration camp, and you had no idea if you'd even survive it. How do you maintain your thoughts in that situation? On page 35 of my book, I talk about Viktor Frankl. He's one of the most famous Holocaust survivors. And he says that we who lived in concentration camps can remember the men who walked through the huts, comforting others, giving away their last piece of bread. They may have been few in number, but they offer sufficient proof that everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose your own way. Someone can surely take your physical life. They can kill you. But no one can take your thoughts. Only you control those. And a number of people throughout history have died because they would not renounce the way they think. Now, I know some of you are all worried, and we're going to deal with your worries in just a minute, but I want to point out to you that every cell in our bodies gets replaced. Within the course of a year, you have a whole new body.